Creamer Media's Mining Weekly is interviewing Vuslat Bayoglu, the managing director of the Menar Group. You know, you pledged 600 million rand at the conference on investment by the president. On what are you going to spend that money and when is it going to be outlaid?
So, Martin, we actually pledged just over R1 billion, and the first phase is 600 million. We have started Gugulethu Colliery. We are building a new mine. We are busy opening the box cut, and then our plant is going to be ready by September this year. And this mine is going to employ about 400 people. And the second phase is going to be underground, but it's going to be in 7 years' time because the open cast portion is about 7 years. We had some delays in the beginning because of the heavy rains. We couldn't build the road, but it's a fully licensed mine, and we had our deals with the surface right holders. So we have the team on site now. We've got two actually team that's taking the topsoil out and stockpiling separately, and we will hopefully get the first coal around July, August this year. And then the other part of the R1 billion, which is about 440 million rand, we're going to spend to develop a mine in Bethel, a project called Tuso. It's also fully licensed. And we are trying to finalize our infrastructure plan to do the last bits of the designs so that we start developing. It's a bit concerning at the moment with the falling coal prices, but we think that if the coal prices do not carry on free falling, then we may start developing it fourth quarter of this year.
And will this coal be for domestic consumption or export?
Both mines are going to supply for export market. It's very limited actually local market currently because of Eskom not burning enough coal. So we will provide the coal for export market.
And when last I spoke to you, you expressed a sort of cautious confidence that South Africa at least, would really get its rail networks right and the exporting would become competitive. Do you still hold that view?
Look, if Transnet efficiently operates, I think we've got maybe the most competitive tariffs in the world. We need to give them the credit. But the challenge is, I think many people know now, is locomotives availability. And Minister Gordon went to China to fix the issue. We have no feedback yet on that one. But the main issue at the moment is the locomotives availability, and it's not sorted. So Transnet is performing less than what they should be performing in terms of the moment in the North Corridor, which is taking the coal from coalfields to Richards Bay Coal Terminal and Richards Bay Multipurpose Terminal. So the problem is still there. I think on top of the locomotives availability, Transnet might have other challenges as well. I guess CEO has assessed the situation, and I'm sure she's going to do the right things to move in the right direction. But one of the things that I see that because they gave this voluntary severance packages about 2-3 years ago, and they lost so many people with experience, maybe they might consider using their services again, because they really knew how to deal with certain things, including maintenance and running the lines efficiently. But they have a very open communication channel, both Transnet CEO and the Transnet Freight Rail CEO. That's a plus. But when it comes to decision making, I think they've got challenges. They're not making decisions on time. I think that's not helping the industry, and that creates a lot of frustration in the industry. But I am very hopeful that they will fix the problem. But we don't have any alternative. We can't be negative. We have to understand that. And always complaining about this not happening, that's not happening. That doesn't solve the problem. So we have to be positive. We have to talk, and we have to be constructive. We have to find a solution, because we don't have any other Transnet, and to build another Transnet will take maybe another 40-50 years. So we have to make sure that we work together with Transnet. We look at how we can help Transnet, And then we need Transnet to come to the party and say, okay, guys, let's work together. And one of the things actually, I think that's bothering them. That's what I feel, and I pick up from the discussions that we have. They are scared of like private sector involvement in rail. I don't think they should be scared, because private sector will add value. They can still be in control by regulated, they can still be in control by owning the infrastructure, they can still be in control with owning the rolling stock. But private sector will always add value to their system by coming up with new ideas, coming up with less like bureaucratic procurement methods or procurement processes. So they should consider that private sector can add value to Transnet's system. If it can pass, I think, that stage, there'll be a lot of value created, because I think both all sorts of mining industry that move coal to ports in bulk, like chrome, manganese, iron ore, coal, they're all prepared to work with Transnet, and they're all prepared to work with Transnet with their guidance. The private sector is not saying that we will tell you what to do. Actually, private sector is saying that, Transnet, we are ready to work with you. Tell us what you want us to do. I think if we can pass that obstacle, that could be easy for South Africa to move more products for export markets.
And you know, you've got a mixture of the private sector and the public sector there. You've got a rail line carrying the coal to a terminal which is private sector owned, and then the port, which is again public sector owned. So the intertwine was good. Are you finding that the private sector part of it, the port, is still up to its game?
Look, I think RBCT might be the best, actually, and most efficient port in the world. They're doing extremely well. They are managed very well. It has got a great CEO, a great team supporting the CEO, and I think directors and shareholders are very supportive of the team in RBCT. And even though it's a private business, I think RBCT knows that they will need to play a role in terms of developing the communities, in terms of developing the skills, in terms of supporting junior miners. That's why they have a quattro allocation. There's 4 million ton going to the junior miners. I think that's working great. It's run by DMRE, between DMRE and Transnet, Freight Rail and RBCT, and that can be increased, actually. But we need to first increase the rail going from the coalfields to RBCT. So Port has got the capacity. Port is managed very professionally. The only thing that needs to happen is the rail needs to support the port. But on the RBCT side, there are no issues. But I think Transnet management needs to look at what's happening in the other ports, like multi-purpose terminal. I can't say the same things about multi-purpose terminal what I say about RBCT. We use the terminal, demurrage, huge demurrages that we pay. The rate is extremely high compared to what is paid in RBCT, and there are issues, serious issues in terms of management. They change the manager all the time. There's acting manager currently, for instance, and I think Transnet management needs to have a look at that port closely to see like how can they change the culture so that it becomes more efficient. Because you see, multi-purpose terminal is critical for South African economy, because RBCT is only dealing with coal, but multi-purpose terminal is dealing with many commodities. It's dealing with pig iron, it's dealing with steel, it's dealing with chrome, it's dealing with rock phosphate. So the industrial hub in Richards Bay is relying on multi-purpose terminals output capabilities. So it's critical to have that port to be a world-class port.
And you're saying working with the private sector, public-private partnership, but not even that you're quite happy if they guide the private sector. You still think we could achieve optimum operation?
Definitely. If you look at what Transnet does, for instance, in Durban for container terminal, I think they're running a successful process to bring private sector to be involved, to create efficiencies, and then to manage and to handle more containers quicker, and then obviously making the port more profitable and making it a world-class port, which is the busiest port in the continent. The same thing can happen in multi-purpose terminal. It can be a world-class port that deals with the bulk commodities.
Yeah.
But Transnet needs to, I think, my personal feeling, personal thinking is they need to run a process for that port so that we have a similar example like what's happening in Durban.
And going into your diversification, you're also in manganese and gold. How is that going?
Look, manganese is doing well. Apart from the price of manganese is very flat, doesn't really move up. We successfully developed the mine. We learned a lot in terms of like the tricks of mining and processing of manganese and the logistics. One of the bottlenecks was the logistics in manganese. It's critical because when the price is flat and it's low, you have to move the product by rail. Transnet actually came to the party, Transnet Freight Rail. They ran, again, a very successful process, and they gave 6 companies, 6 emerging miners, a capacity of 2 million ton. But they also said that they will increase the capacity so that they don't take it from the majors and then give it to the juniors. So majors, I'm hoping, that's what they say and what I read, that majors will not be affected from these tons to be moved to the junior miners or emerging miners. So we got our own allocation, and hopefully we're going to start moving our manganese by rail in the next month. So that's a positive. We look at other manganese projects as well, and we are busy working with one of them. It looks really good. It's sizable, but again, I think this flat manganese price is making us a bit concerned, like how we can develop it, because the project that we're looking is an underground project. On the gold side, you see, gold is important for us because when the times are volatile, then gold price becomes high. It's like almost a hedge for the other operations. So we got this project in Kyrgyzstan. It's in an area called Alabuka. We drilled so far 25,000 meters, and we have proven about 450,000 ounces. We are thinking that we can get to 1 million ounce. So when we get to 1 million ounce, we are planning to develop the project. So we need another 2 years to finish the drilling, and then we will hopefully develop the mine.
And is there any other diversification possibilities on your mind?
Look, we look at different projects. We look at projects in South Africa. We look at projects in the DRC, in Zambia. We are interested in all different commodities, including copper, cobalt, except diamonds. We are looking at anything, to be honest. But obviously, to find the right project with the right tenure, with the right grade, is not that easy. It's like hitting a jackpot. So we are continuously looking for new mining projects. That's our forte. And then recently we joined International Dry Bulk Terminals Group. We are looking at opportunities in logistics, bulk terminals, rail opportunities. We're thinking that eventually South Africa will allow third parties, private parties, to be on rail or to run ports, maybe in a partnership with Transnet. So we are looking at those opportunities. We are creating a team to be able to make the right decisions. And but these are the main things that we are looking at. And look, South Africa offers a lot in terms of mineralization and opportunities, but there are certain commodities that we need to look at other countries. But our main strategy at the moment is looking at different commodities, different minerals, and looking at logistics opportunities. But one of the things that we are seriously considering is, again, it's a very good opportunity in South Africa, trading power, and currently we are using about 50 mega. We've got 50 megawatt installed capacity coming from Eskom, and we would like to create our own power generation capacity, especially with renewables, because we've got space in the mines. I mean, a mine like Kangra, we've got space, we've got long life. A mine like Kanye in Bronkhorstspruit, Gugulethu has got a very long life, Zak has got a long life. We would like to actually invest in solar capacity and then provide power to our mines. On top of that, also trade the power. Because if we don't use it at the mines, for instance, then that power is going to be available. And then with all these new frameworks that's created by Vulindlela team and Eskom and Department of Public Enterprises and DMRE, we think that we can be a role player. in that game, and it will also make our mines carbon emissions. Maybe we can get to a zero carbon emission at some point. So that's these are the kind of businesses that we're talking in our business development teams, and we're hoping that in the next, say, 6 months, we'll get to a point when we talk again in 6 months' time. I can tell you maybe we're investing for a 50 megawatt solar capacity in our mines.
That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly, speaking to Vuslat Bayoglu, the managing director of Menar